Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Dynamics 365 Tech Talk, What's New in the April 2021 release for Configurable Business Documents. My name is Evan, and I'll be your moderator today. We are broadcasting this web conference through Teams Live events, and the audio can be heard through your device speakers. Today's web conference is being recorded on behalf of the Microsoft Corporation, and by participating in the session using Microsoft Teams, your name, email address, phone number, and/or title may be viewable by other session participants. If you do not consent to being a part of a recorded session, please disconnect at this time. The recording will be available on the Tech Talks Community Dynamics page within 5 business days. If you have questions for the presenters or need support, please use the Q&A panel located on the right side of your screen. Our presenters will be responding to your questions throughout the event, and we will have some time at the end to speak to some questions verbally. Thank you for your patience during these announcements. Now let's get started. Presenting for us today from Microsoft, we have Mikhail Filatov, Principal Engineering Lead, and Nikolay, Selin, Senior Program Manager. Mikhail, over to you.
Thank you, Evan. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So welcome to this new Tech Talk on the new features in configurable business documents for April 2021 release. And we would be doing an overview of configurable business documents in the beginning. After that, I will talk about new features for the April 2021 release, and Nikolay will do a lot of demos, right? A lot of deep dive demos for you. And after that, we'll do at the end a Q&A session, but feel free to write your questions all the time during the presentation. So some of us would be answering them during the demos and presentation, right? And we will go through questions at the end in Q&A. And just a reminder, right, that this is not the first Tech Talk for configurable business documents. It's actually the first Tech Talk, right? So we wouldn't be covering basic functionality, for example, a new user interface, how to add a new field, etc. Right? We would be covering new features in April release. But please have a look. We have several Tech Talks already available, right, where we go through it, and also a lot of materials on docs, right? But just a quick refresher of what is configurable business documents and architecture of it. We target Phyllis persona, and she's a business user, accounting manager in Cantosa, responsible for accounting department, EPR, etc. And your task would be to do a last mile customization of a business document. And for this, we created this business document management workspace in finance and supply chain management. And she can go there and customize any available template, like for sales invoice, free text invoice, sales quotation, etc. in Office Online, either Word or Excel, or Office Desktop, also Word or Excel. And just a reminder that for some of you who are following business documents from the initial release, we have provided business documents in Excel templates from Microsoft originally, but by the end of last year, we published all the templates in Word as well, right? So now you can use either Excel or Word template from Microsoft for any of the basic document like supported by print management. But this business document management functionality is based on electronic reporting functionality, which is available in the cloud version of finance and operations in the beginning of it, right? And it is used for a lot of other things like payment, formats, electronic invoices, etc. Right? And for this, we have a Simon persona who is more technical, but still not a developer, right? He's more like functional consultant. And Simon can do a lot of additional things like configure, for example, electronic reporting destinations, send this template which Phyllis has prepared to D365 printer, etc. And also he is responsible for storing all the completed templates in global repo. This is our service for storing configurations, or in LCS in special GR asset type. And now let's have a quick overview of the new features which were releasing in April 2021 release. First of all, this is preview support for print management. Basically, now a user can define destination for different print management actions. Before that, all the print management actions like preview or print were using the same destinations. Now you can say, for example, preview, just show it me on the screen, and for the print, send it over mail and print it to D-Ray printer, for example. So it's a highly requested feature by customers and partners, and it's available in April 2021 release. Another feature which was also highly requested in a lot of scenarios, for example, when you need to send a collection letter to a customer and also attach a list of overdue invoices, right? So this functionality is available even in a monthly update before April release in 10.0.16. So now the scenario is fully supported, and not obviously for just a collection letter, but for any business document or ER configuration. And also, we got an ask to extend the list of supported barcode types. We are now able to support different barcodes, and you can find the full list in the docs article here, right? And we added one additional IMB intelligent mail barcode, which was requested by several customers. And now with this, I would switch the microphone to Nikolay, who would be doing demos of this functionality. Nikolay?
Thank you. Let me share my environment. Do you see it?
Yes, you can see it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start our demo from the presentation, showing to you how you can use our new functionality, allowing you to generate intelligent mail barcodes in your business documents. For this demo, I will be using the vendor payment advice GR solution, which is provided from Microsoft. And I already downloaded this solution to this environment and configured print management to use it. And now if I would try to use this solution to generate a payment advice, I expect that I will get an Excel document, because the solution I'm using is configured to use the Excel template for generation such documents. And when you get it, you might think of the improvements you can introduce for this document. For example, you might decide to show here vendor postal address, which is presented as an intelligent mail barcode, because in this case you will make this address available for the machine scanning. That might eventually speed up the entire process of such document delivery. So for doing that, you need to change the solution that you are using right now. And as we've shown in one of the previous tech talks, you can do it by using the business document management functionality and utilizing for that the Office 365 service. But as you can see, the environment which I'm using right now is not configured to use the Office 365 service. That's why I'm not able to make changes in the using template by using the business document management functionality. But it's not a stopper for us, because we can do it by using the GR framework functionality based on which the business document management functionality is working. So what I need to do, I need to save this document locally. I already did this, and modify it to implement our requirements. And That's the initial template that I modified. And what I did, I just added to this document a new picture as a placeholder of my barcode. And I did it naming it as a IMB code. So that's the only modification I did in the template. And now I need to start using this template in the GR format. So I need to derive the initial format, creating my own one. I already did this, did that. And what I need to do, I need to import to this environment a new template, replacing the currently using template, right? So I can do it this way. I already did this. And what happens in this case? In this case, in the format definition, you will have a new format element because that's a result of the synchronization of the modified template structure and the structure of this format. And what we need to do, we need just to specify the binding for this document, for this element, just to tell the system how this Excel named item will be filled in at runtime. And what we need to do to generate this barcode, we need to add a new data source of the barcode type. Let's name it barcode. And here we can select the intelligent mail type. That's what we introduced. So we need to specify sizing of a generated barcode. And we need to bind our data source with the new format element. And as you can see, at runtime, this data source will require an argument of the string type that will represent the data payload to generate a barcode of the selected type. And for doing that, I will use the data source I've created in advance. That simulates right now the payload created based on the vendor postal address. So I will save my changes. And I need to make this document runnable. So I need to put either on draft or completed. And also just to make sure that this document will generate the barcode which will be printable, I've configured the GR destination for the GR format we've created and configured to present our output on the screen converted to the PDF format. So now if you try to, and what we need to do in addition, of course, we need to change our print management settings to start using our modified solution instead of the standard one. Here, we need to select our derived format. So let's try to regenerate this document again. And as you can see, now we have this barcode presented in our document. And since we use this PDF for printing, if we configure the printer destination, so it will guarantee that if you decide to print it out, this barcode will be presented on your paper. And that's important because if you try to implement the same kind of barcodes by using custom fonts, it will not work because Excel does not support embedded fonts, and on the environment where the generated Excel is converted to PDF, this kind of barcodes are not available. So that's the only way to get such barcodes in your printing documents. So that's the first set of the new functionality that I would like to present you. The second one is related to some enhancement we introduced for our GR email destinations functionality. So I've configured this environment to do emailing by using the SMTP protocol. And as you can see, I've configured the SMTP parameters to use the locally installed virtual SMTP server, which is up and running right now. And this server is configured to collect all outbound emails in this local folder before they will be sent out. So that's why whenever we will generate a new email in finance instance, in our finance instance, it will be presented in this folder and we will be able to open it and review. So for my demo, I will be using the collection letter node GR solution. I already uploaded it to this environment. And what I did, I've configured the GR destinations for this GR format. And if you take a look at this, you will see that it's configured by using the email GR destination. And here I've configured simple subject text for this email. There, I would like to present the collection letter number and a very simple body. So it means that if I would generate this document, I expect that finally it will be presented in the outbound queue of emails of the local SMTP server. So here it is. I will copy paste it to make it available for review. And as you can see now, we have our generated subject, our body, and a generated collection letter is also attached. And it contains a single line which refers to the single invoice. So now you might think of the situation when, okay, you send this document to your customer, but the customer will send you back the answer asking to provide him with more details about this collection letter, requiring, for example, the mentioned in this letter emails. And you need to find the invoices, and you need to find those invoices, create another answer, attach them manually, send it to this customer. So it will take time, and eventually it will slow down the process of the customer payment collections. So instead of that, probably you would decide to be proactive and send out a single email with the attached collection letter and also with the attached invoices that are relevant to the generated collection letter. And with the new GR functionality, now you can do that. So let's try to prepare our environment for supporting this scenario. So first, what we need to do, we need to answer the question where we can get the relevant invoice that could be attached to our generated email. So if you go to our list of invoices, I will find the invoice which is mentioned in the generated collection letter. What you can do, you can change the settings of your customer record by setting to yes the invoice attachment parameter. When you did that, it means that whenever you will post and print out the invoice for this account number, in addition to everything what will happen, this invoice will be attached to the invoice header record as a PDF file, which means that at the time when you decide to generate a collection letter to which this invoice is relevant, this file will be available, and there is a chance that you can find it, pick it up, and attach to the email that you generated to send out the corresponding collection letter node. So now what we need to do, we need to change our default GR solution to support this scenario. So let's try to do this. First, what we need to do, we need to extend the standard reminder data model, which is provided by Microsoft. So we need to create the derived version of it. I already did that. Name it reminder model Cantosa. And in the designer, we need to change the collection letter node root definition. And since we are talking about invoices that are referred from every reminder line, we need to change this element of our data model. But this sign means that the structure of the reminder lines is used in this particular place, and it's read-only. So that's why to find the place where it's actually defined, you need to click to the go to reference item, which means that when you select it and did that, you go to the place where you can implement changes for this data model element. And here, as you can see, we already have the invoice field that exposed to us the invoice number for every reminder line. And what I did in addition to this field, I added two new fields. The file content field of the container type will be used to expose the content of the attachment, and the file name field of the string type will be used to expose the name of the attachment. That's the changes I've introduced, and to make them available for further modifications, I've completed the modified version of our custom data model. So the second, what I need to do, I need to specify how my new fields will be filled in at runtime. And for doing that, I need to derive the provided by Microsoft model mapping. And what I also need to do here, I need to select my custom data model. If I don't do that, I will not see my new fields in the model mapping designer. So I already did that, and I've created this derived data model mapping configuration. And it can be changed. So what I did in this derived model mapping, first I introduced a new data source of the table records type that refers to the customer invoice journal table, where the invoice header records are stored. After that, I noticed that the data model used this data source to expose reminder lines. So in this case, we need to update this data source to expose all the data we need to handle our attachments. So I found this data source. And what I did, I added the nested data source of the calculated field type, in which I said that for every reminder line, I will try to find in the customer invoice journal table the record representing the header of the invoice, the code of which is exposed by my reminder line. So it means I will try by using this data source to find the appropriate invoice header record for every reminder line. And if I found this record, I will use another data source I added to find for the found invoice header record, the attachments of the file type, the attachments for which the document type file was used. And for doing that, I'm using the virtual documents relation, which is introduced in the GR framework. And this virtual relation allows you to access attachments of any record of any table in the system. And why I'm doing this filtering the only file document types, because potentially you might have attachments of the different type. For example, you can introduce invoice header nodes. And of course, with these parameters, with these settings, such attachments will be ignored because they are not representing attached invoices. And when I did that, I was able to specify bindings for my new fields. So to fill in our file content field of the data model, I'm calling the get file content as container built-in method that returns the content of the found attachment as a binary blob container. And I'm calling the original final method to return the name of the attachment, because I'm planning to use this name as a name of the attachments in my generated email. So that's what I did. And to make it available for execution, I also completed this version. So now it's the version 1 is completed and the version 2 is ready for further changes. So now what we need to do, we need to modify the provided by Microsoft GR format to use our modified data model. So I will create the derived format. And I need to select the custom data model, the appropriate root definition. And I need to change the content of this format. As you can see, as a root element of the current format, the Excel file component is used because it's used to generate a single output representing our collection letter node. But since I'm planning to generate more than one output, I need to add a new root element using the folder component. And now for this folder component, I will introduce another nested element as a file. And I will use this file element to expose all the attached invoices that will be found when we iterate through the list of reminder lines. And since we are planning to use for our file names the name of the attachment, I will suppress the usage of the default extension. And also what I will do, I will add another nested element to specify how my file will be generated. And since we are planning to fill it in by the content of the found attachment, it's enough to put the only binary contents component under the file element. So now let's configure our bindings. So first, what we need to do, we need to say that I would like to have as many invoice files as I found attachments for reminder lines. So this binding will mean that doing the iteration through the list of reminder lines, we will try to generate all relevant files for every found invoice attached. But we don't want to generate this file in the situation when we don't have the attached invoice for the found invoice of the reminder line. So that's why what we need to do, we need to say that I would like to generate it only if the name of the found invoice is not blank. And also we need to specify the file name for the generated output. Again, we will be using the name of the attachment we found. And we need to specify the binding for the binary content element. It will be our file content container field. So I guess we did everything we needed. Now we need to save this format. And what we need to do, we need to mark it as available for execution. And now we need to configure destinations for this format. Let's go to our GR destination settings and introduce new destination settings. So first, we need to send out our folder to nowhere, because we don't want to get the folder containing all files as an individual output. So we need to put it to nowhere. After that, we need to configure the email destination for our collection letter. So let's convert it to PDF. And let's specify the email destination. Just for demo purposes, I will use the hard-coded email. But really, it could be configured either by using the print management style or by using the GR style. There are two ways for doing that. And for subject, I will configure this as we did before. Using the predefined text. I'm just writing it, but you can refer to the language dependent label, and in this case, the text will depend on the language of your customer, for example. It's also supported. And I will refer to this data source to get the collection letter number. And for body, we can say something like this. And now we need to specify destinations for our invoice file element. And since we are planning to send all invoices along with our letter, what we need to do, we need to select them and group them into one group of outputs that should be emailed at once. And as you can see right now, even if I would select the invoice line and click settings, I will be navigated to the settings I've introduced for the group header, which means that I will email all files at once in one single email. So now let's try to use this functionality and these settings. So what I will do, I will go to the print management settings. And to generate collection letter, I will use, instead of the standard one, our customized format. So now let's select our collection letter that refers to the invoice that contains the attachment. And let's try to generate it again. Here I have another email. I will copy paste it and open it for preview. And as you can see, that's the body we configured. That's the subject. And what's important that along with the collection letter, like we had earlier, we have a relevant invoice attached. So as you can see, you can use this approach to send out multiple documents when they are relevant to the corresponding email. And as you noticed, the solution that I've shown, it's not especially designed, for example, for the collection letter node jar solution. So this kind of settings could be configured for any jar solution. So if you have a situation when along with one document you want to attach some other documents, so it's just a matter of finding proper documents and do proper changes in your configurations to start supporting such scenarios. And just a few comments regarding this functionality. As you can see, it's configured so you can ungroup your lines. If you want, for example, to send the same kind of documents to another set of recipients, you can create another group referring to the same file components. So all these things are supported. You can configure multiple groups for multiple kind of documents and handle your requirements. So that's about our enhancements of the GR emailing. And the third feature that I would like to present to you is the feature which is also related to the GR destinations functionality, and that's a feature that Mikhail already mentioned. And this feature allows you to make your GR destinations dependable on the action that user performs to generate a document. For example, if you're talking about free text invoices, you know that if you configure it, the print management to use the provided by Microsoft GR solution for generating these business documents, and you've configured GR destinations for the provided solution, like I did. I've configured the email destination for free text invoices format. It means that regardless of whether you will select the action print or you will select the action view, by default, this configured destination will be executed, because by default, all destinations that we configured for the running here format are executed at runtime. And in some cases, it's not what you expect. For example, here you expect that if you would select print, you would like this document to be emailed. But if you select view, you expect that it will be previewed on the screen. And with the new GR functionality, now it's available. It's possible to implement such a, to set up such a behavior. So to do that, what you need to change? First, we need to enable this new feature that enables two different things. First, when you enable this feature, you will see additional parameters in your GR destination settings, and those parameters will allow you to specify for what kind of actions a configured destination should be executed. So you can separately configure destinations, for example, for the view action, for the print action, for the send action. And the second thing, what's happening, that when you enable this feature, the GR framework will accept the user action code, which could be provided for the GR framework in the source code. And it will, the provided code will be taken into account by the GR framework when the GR format is executed, and when GR should decide what kind of destinations, configured destinations, must be executed at this particular call. And if you open the forwarding link for this action, you can find the explanation how you can configure GR destination by using new capabilities. And also what's important that here it refers to the changes in the GR API, where you can see how it can be implemented. If you are talking about the situation when you want to introduce your custom code, where you will call the GR by using a new API. And you will see that here we introduce some new interface allowing you to run a GR format, introducing and providing a certain user action. And depending on this information, you can force GR to execute not all GR destinations, but only destinations that are relevant to the provided user action code. And so I will enable this. But in addition to that, since we have many business documents, and unfortunately not all of them were adopted for using this new API in the version 10.0.17, you need to enable this feature, because this feature is used to start using this new API for the limited number of business documents in the 10.0.17 version. And we plan to adopt this new API for other business documents in further releases. So now, what I would like to do, since we enabled those two features, I will go to the GR destinations. And as you can see right now, in addition to everything we had before, we have 2 new fields where you can specify for every destination record at what conditions this record will be taken into account. And in our case, if we would like to implement the scenario, support the scenario when for the preview, we would like to use the screen jar destination, and for the printing document, we would like to email it. What we need to do, we need to say that I would like to use the email jar destination when the user print action will be provided. Alternatively, if the user will perform the view action to preview this document, I would like to execute the jar screen destination. And let's assume that I will do it in PDF format as well. And here I will say I would like to do it for view. So as you can see right now, we have 2 destination records configured for the same format element, but for different user actions. So now let's try to use our settings. So if I would select this document, I would like to execute the print action. I expect that here we'll have 1 more email generated based on the email jar destination we configured for the print action. Here it is. I will copy paste it and open it for you. And as you can see, that's our body, and that's the free text invoice that we generated. Okay, and now I will select the view action for the same free text invoice. And now, as you can see, it's previewed on the screen because we forced jar to execute the only screen jar destination for this particular user action. So sometimes when you generate your business documents by using other pages, those pages might not contain such very clear buttons like view, send, or print. And sometimes it's not obvious for you whether the user action is provided for the GR API or not. And if it's provided, which one? And you are not familiar with the source code to try to find the answer just analyzing the source code. So what you can do in this case, you can do a very simple thing. You can just go to the jar configurations page, open the user parameters, and force jar to be used in the debug mode, which means that when you did that, and when, for example, you repeat the generation of your document, some additional information will be stored in the GR debug log about the current execution. And this log, if the user action was provided, this log will contain information about this user action code. And if you go to the organization administration debug log, you will see that there are some additional information about destinations, and see that during the last call, the view action was provided. So based on this information, you can go to the jar destination settings and configure the required jar destinations for the view user action. So I guess that's all about our new functionality. That's all I plan to show to you, and I guess now it's time for Q&A.
Thank you, Nikolay, for great demos. So we have several questions already pre-submitted, so we can go through them. I will read them, so we'll answer them together. So first question, from the bottom, is it possible to generate an XML file with an embedded PDF using their functionality?
Yes, there is a possibility for doing that, and you can even find a sample of this functionality if you download any of the available formats for generation electronic invoices. Most of them contain this kind of functionality when the attached invoice is placed to a generated XML as a base 64 string. Yes, it's supported.
Yeah, and it's already used, right?
Yeah.
No functionality, right? So I think that the next question is, is this functionality available within CE applications as well, only for FinOps? So it's for now available for FinOps only. But as you saw, right, we have the concept of model mapping, and basically our model does not depend on FinOps, right? So we can use different data sources. So in our roadmap, we actually consider supporting other Dynamics apps via Dataverse virtual entities. So if you're interested in this activity, right, because we're like doing quite a lot of preparation and actually working with customers and partners to understand the scope of what we need to support, just send me an email, right, and we can follow up on this. But yeah, it's something that we consider to do in the future. For now, it's available in FinOps only. And one more question. Is it possible to download example templates to get moving quickly? Yes, actually, again, we are not doing this demo at today TechTalk, right? But you can look at the previous ones when we demoed it. Basically, all these templates are being stored in global repo. And when you just open the import from global repo, you can filter by any specific document type or just import all the documents, right? So basically you say, okay, I want to import all invoices for Czech Republic, for example, right? You can do this, right? So, or you can import all the documents, right? So all this functionality is available now, right? And you can just use import from global repo to get going very quickly. I think that's, I don't see any other questions. I think that if any other questions, guys, just like write them now. I don't see any. So then switching it back to Evan to complete the TechTalk today.
Perfect. Thank you, Mikhail. We would like to get your feedback on today's session. I've posted a link to a short survey in the Q&A panel. We value your feedback and welcome your input on how we did today and what you would like to see in future sessions. That survey scores on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest score possible, and we thank you for your participation in that. As a reminder, the recording of today's session will be available on the Tech Talks Community Dynamics page within 5 business days. I'd like to extend a big thank you to our presenters and a thank you to our audience for logging in and joining us today. Please stay safe and have a great rest of your day or evening wherever you are. Goodbye.